Hi students, a very good afternoon. And today we're discussing about a blueprint and question paper pattern for tomorrow pre-board examination. Okay, and this is the blueprint. And total 6 chapters is there for tomorrow pre-board examination. The first chapter is a typical configuration of computer system, chapter number 1. In the chapter, 1 marks 1 question, 2 marks 1 question, 5 marks 1 question, totally 8 marks. This is also same for your annual examination. And second chapter, Boolean Algebra. In Boolean Algebra, 2 marks, 2 questions, 3 marks, 2 questions, 5 marks, 1 question. And totally 15 marks. Okay, here I'm giving one extra questions, 2 marks and 3 marks. Okay, and for your annual examination, 2 marks 1 question, 3 marks 1 question, 5 marks 1 question. Totally 10 marks for your annual examination. And third chapter is the data structure. A data structure is 1 marks 2 questions, 3 marks 2 questions, 5 marks 2 questions. Total 18 marks. Okay, this is also same as for an examination. Inheritance chapter, 1 marks 2 questions, 2 marks 1 question, 5 marks 1 question. Total 9 marks. Okay, for your annual examination also for 9 marks. Constructors and destructors, here 2 marks 1 question, 3 marks 1 question, 5 marks 1 question. Here also 10 marks for your annual examination. Database concept, 1 marks 2 questions, 2 marks 2 questions, 3 marks 2 questions, 5 marks 1 question. Total 17 marks for this exam. For but your annual examination, 12 marks from database concept. Totally 77 marks is there. Okay. And the question paper pattern is for tomorrow examination, the 1 marks 5 questions, 2 marks 5 questions, 3 marks 5 questions, 5 marks 4 questions. And there is no option in 1 marks question, but in 2 marks 3 marks 2 options is there, and in 5 marks 3 option is there. Okay, totally 50 marks. Coming to the chapter number 1, typical configuration of computer system. Okay, here you can study the motherboard, definition of motherboard, characteristics. I think you know what are the characteristics: form factor, chipset, processor circuit, and types of motherboard is XT motherboard, AT motherboard, baby AT motherboard, and ATX motherboard. And what are the components of motherboard? The components of motherboard is BIOS, CMOS, okay, and the expansion slots, ports, disk, controller, bus. Okay, these are the components of motherboard. Okay, and here types of bus and types of ports, types of slots and types of expansion slots. Okay, you can set that one in motherboard. And next one is memory. In memory, primary memory and types. I think you know the primary memory, RAM and ROM. Secondary memory, cache memory. And here very important is cache memory. And the types of cache memory is L1, L2 and L3 cache. Okay. And next is power supply. A power supply is divided into 2 types. One is UPS and SMPS. In UPS, there are 2 types: online and offline UPS, and SMPS. On the expansion of SMPS and what is the use of SMPS. Okay. The next chapter is Boolean Algebra. The Boolean Algebra, the important concept is logical operators. I think you know logical operators, not and or operator. Okay. And next is the principle of duality. Okay, principle of duality. I think you know what is the principle of duality. Each or sign change with and sign with or sign, 0 with 1 and 1 with 0. Okay, next is the basic theorems. Okay, these are the Boolean theorems. The basic theorems are properties of zeros and ones, using and operation, or operation, and idempotence law, complement law, commutative law, involution law, associative law, distributive law, absorption law. Okay, and these are the important theorems, including De Morgan's theorem. Okay, De Morgan's theorem is very important for 5 marks. Next is the definitions. What definitions for min term, max term, SOP, POS, tautology, and falsing. The next is important concept is the truth tables, algebraic expressions, simplification using K-map. Okay, here very important is a truth table and algebraic expression for 2 marks and 3 marks, and simplification is in K-map. Simplification. K-maps using SOP and POS. Okay. The next is chapter number 4, data structure. And very important chapter, 18 marks for your annual examination. And here definition for data structure, primitive data structure, non-primitive data structure, linear data structure, non-linear data structure, arrays, one-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, stack, queue, linked list, trees, graph, LIFO, FIFO, root node, leaf node, binary tree, complete tree, height of tree, and also some expansions. Okay, this is only for 1 marks question. Definitions. And the next is types. Okay, types for 3 marks. Data structure, types of data structure, primitive and non-primitive, and again non-primitive data structure in the 2 types, linear and non-linear. And linear data structure here 4 types, arrays, stack, queue, and linked list. In non-linear 2 types, tree and graph, arrays, queues, and linked list. Okay, this is the types of linked list. Okay, next is the operations. What are the operations performed on primitive data structure? Okay, what are the operations performed on primitive data structure? I think you know the operations performed on primitive data structure is create, destroy, select, update. Okay, these are the operations performed on primitive data structure. And non-primitive data structure. What are the operations performed on non-primitive data structure? The same as a linear data structure, operations is traversing, insertion, deletion, searching, sorting, merging. Okay, these are the operations performed on non-primitive data structure and linear data structure. In arrays also same. Okay, in arrays also the performing insertion, deletion, searching 2 types. One is a linear search and binary search and sorting. Okay, and the very important is sorting. And next is the stack. What are the operations performed on stack? Push and pop operation. The push for insertion, the pop for deletion. And next is the queues. What are the operations performed on a queue? Okay, NQ, DQ, Q is empty. These are the operations performed on queues. In stack also the operations and stock is a stack, push, pop, peak is empty, a size. But here important is a push and pop. In stack, in queues, NQ and DQ. And linked list. A linked list, what are the operations for a linked list? A creating linked list, a traversing linked list, inserting an element into linked list, deleting an element from the linked list, searching on elements, sorting the elements, merging 2 or more smaller list, and creating 1 larger list. Okay, these are the operations performed in linked list. The next is the memory representation. Okay, memory representation of 1-dimensional array, 2-dimensional array, stack using arrays, a queue using arrays. These are the memory representations. Okay, for 3 marks. The next, the applications. Applications of arrays, stacks, and queues. Next is very important algorithms. Okay, the algorithms is very important for data structure for 3 marks and 5 marks. Traversing, insertion, deletion, searching. In searching 2 types, a linear and binary search. And insertion sort, push and pop. NQ and DQ algorithms. These are the algorithms. Okay. The next chapter is constructor and destructors. In constructor and destructors, the important concept is constructors, definition for constructor, the rules for constructor, syntax with an example, and types of constructor. Okay. There are 3 types of constructor. Okay, they are default constructor, copy constructor, parameters constructor. In default constructor, definition, features, advantages and disadvantages, syntax with an example. Okay. In parameters is constructor and copy constructor. In both the constructors, important concept is definition, features, syntax with example. And also the invoking constructor with explicit cell, implicit call with an example. Okay. Explicit call and implicit call. Next is destructor. Definition for destructor, rules, a syntax with example. Okay. The next is a inheritance chapter. Here inheritance definition. For inheritance, base class, derived class and visibility mode. And next is advantages of inheritance, types of inheritance. Okay, there are 5 types is there. You can write with on diagrams is compulsory for inheritance. 5 types of inheritance: single level inheritance, multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, hybrid inheritance. Okay, the next is the role of a visibility mode. Okay, there are 3 types is there. One is a private, a public and protect. Okay, and these are the role of a visibility mode. And next one is a database concept, very important chapter for your examination part, 12 marks. Definition for data, information, database, file, table, relation, record, field, attribute, entity, DBMS. These are definitions. And applications of database. I think you know applications of database is medical applications, business applications, banking application, communication application, and computer network application. Next is a data processing cycle. In data processing cycle, data collection, data input, data process, data output, data storage, maintenance. Okay, these are the data processing cycle. Next is the difference between manual and electronic data processing, and data types used in DBMS. Okay, there are 5 types of data types using DBMS. The one is number, character, date, logical and memo. And next is the advantages and features of DBMS. What are the advantages and features? Data integrity, sharing of data, data security, data independence, data abstraction. These are the advantages and features of an DBMS. And 3-level architecture, DBMS architecture. The one is physical level, logical level and weave level. Next is DBMS users. The DBMS users are database administrator, database designer, application programmer and end user. Next is data independence. Okay, in data independence divided 2 types. One is logical data independence and physical data independence. Next is types of file organization. Here are 4 types of file organization: serial file organization, sequential file organization, direct or random file organization, and indexed sequential file organization. These are the 4 types of file organization. The next is the types of database architecture. The types of database architecture: 1-tier architecture, 2-tier architecture, 3-tier architecture, client server. These are the database architecture. Next is database model. Okay, in database model, hierarchical model, network model and relational model. Next is ER diagrams. Okay, there is no co-out rule for your examination part, and normalization also is not there for your examination part. Okay, here the ER diagram is there: entity relations diagram. Here one to one, one to many, many to one, many to many. These are the relationship. Next is keys. Okay, the keys means I think you know what are the keys, and the primary key, foreign key, okay, composite key, alternate key. These are the keys. Okay, and next the last 2 concepts: data warehouse and data mining. These are the concept to find this in chapter. Okay, total 6 chapter, and here 77 marks is there, and you can write only for 50 marks for your annual examination part. From the 6th chapter 67 marks out of 70 marks. Okay, understood? Andre nimge 67 marks bartade out of 70 ge. Okay, from these 6 chapters. Okay, thank you student, all the best for tomorrow pre-board examination.